Dear Heavenly Father, I'd just like to thank you for today. I'd like to thank you for this podcast that you've given me and John and the ability for us to speak about you and things all happening around the world and trying to provide truth. Lord, I want to pray for everybody that is in Los Angeles right now. I know there's a lot going on, and I believe that it is carrying around the United States, so I also extend that prayer to everybody that's going through anything involved with that situation. Lord, I want to thank you for forgiving us for our sin. I just ask once again that you help open our hearts and our minds to you during this podcast so that we can speak as truthful and as good as we can in your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Skeptics Podcast. This is episode 41.
41.
My name is Dylan Turley, and this is John Boy, and we
John
start
Boy.
every podcast off by asking John Boy how he is doing on these fine, hot, humid days. John Boy, how you doing?
Doing all right. This morning started off a little rough and scruff, whatnot, but by the end of the day, we're doing okay. Got some stuff I needed to get done. Things all worked out for me the way I wanted them to. I'm hoping to get some brownie points. We'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Cool. Guys, we got Father's Day coming up.
Yep.
Go out there and show your father as much love as possible. And get him
the
some
father.
cool things. And the father, that's right.
Did you like that?
The father. Speaking of fathers, just kidding, it's not have anything to really do with that. One of the pretty much the main story that we're going to be going over today is just what everybody else is talking about, but you're going to hear it from two very different side of the information aisle, I would probably say.
I guess so, yeah.
Another thing that I also want to say, I'm truly blessed for this podcast. Me and Lance were talking about it today.
Yeah.
And I asked Lance the same question to you that I asked you a couple days ago. What have you been reading about the Los Angeles protest and riots? And you said, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Well, I didn't say I have no clue. I just said I haven't seen anything on it.
Okay, so you haven't seen anything on it.
I'd seen one thing when you'd asked me, and it was from like a comedian had posted something.
You remember the comedian's name? Dave Smith?
No, not Dave Smith.
Okay. So, Los Angeles right now.
Yeah.
There is protest and there is riots going on about this immigration deal with ICE and coming and get the people and sending them back that it is here illegally. Actually, jumping back, sorry guys, my mind keeps going different places. Me and Lance were talking about it, and it was so interesting because my fee, guys,
Yeah.
and yes, I stay up on this stuff, yes, I'm interested in this stuff, is constantly things happening in the world, whether it be a catastrophic event, diseases like when COVID was going on, politics, all that stuff. I enjoy looking into that stuff. I enjoy reading that kind of stuff. I love seeing debates and all this other stuff. And then with John, also with Lance, I asked him today over lunch, and he was like, I have no clue what you're talking about. Like whatsoever. So it definitely shows that there is people out there that just does not, this is not even in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because I always get normally your pretty authentic reaction to things. Heck, we showed John the JFK assassination on this show for the first time.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So anyway, going all back to it, the stories that we're going to be going over today all involve what's going on in Los Angeles right now. If anybody does not know what's going on or unaware, pretty much what is happening is ICE. Do you know what they stand for?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot.
what
Immigration.
Essentially, what it is it is a group of people that their job is to go find people that has got illegally into our country. And then now with Trump in office, we have them.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement. There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And getting them sent back or getting them sent somewhere to where we can evaluate how long they've been here, are they paying taxes, all these different things. And it's a really muddy situation because it's a hard thing to do because this is a very emotional thing that is happening right now.
Yeah.
So with what I just said,
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of vague, but I kind of hit you with a whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You've kind of been seeing some videos kind of go around. I've been showing you some videos.
And now my feed does have more in it from some of the
from me talking about it and the government listening and then putting it on your radar.
Well, and it's actually funny because it's just a couple of guys or like pages, I should say, not guys, but pages who are like into kit and stuff that I follow.
Interesting.
So they're posting like what are the National Guard using, stuff like that, because that's what I'm into. So like the other day, whenever you were asking me about it, it was one comedian that I'd seen who'd posted something. They'd said something like on their story on IG, it was something like, "I love California, ICE is despicable, hang in there, LA," something like that. And he lives in California. I can't remember who it is though. I remember the post though. Because I was wanting to share that with you on here, but then that was it. That's all I'd seen the other day. Like when the stuff was like first, like breaking news or whatever. The rest of my content's the usual stuff that I follow.
So, as of now,
Yeah,
with what you've seen so far, this is why this is so interesting, guys. I want everybody really to listen in at this part. From what you have seen now.
yeah.
From when I started telling you about it, 2 days ago or maybe a day ago or whatever.
Yeah.
What is your fee look like when it comes to that kind of stuff? Is it just preparation? You don't ever have videos of people on the ground in Los Angeles? You don't see headlines from any news sources?
I've not been seeing any headlines. I've been seeing some pictures. I've seen a picture of some state police cars that was down on the highway, and there was people taking up the overpass or whatever bridge, I don't know, something. But there's a lot of people up there, and they were like throwing stuff down at the cop cars. I seen one of like what looked like SWAT, could be National Guard Reserve though, lined up protecting a street, just stuff like that.
So with what you've seen so far,
yeah,
and there's no wrong answer to this, so I don't want you to think I'm putting you on the spot. Is it giving off that this is a big deal or this is not a big deal?
From what I've seen, it's like a medium deal. It's not big from what I see. And
are you seeing good confrontations? Are you seeing vandalism? Are you seeing everything going fine? Empty streets? What are you seeing?
So to categorize it, like, why do I think it's like on the mid grade?
Mm-hmm.
Low grade would be like nothing is out of control. There's people, they're walking down the street. There's some police officers, standard police officer, like LAPD.
Just in casual police clothes,
Yeah,
right?
Standard police clothes.
Okay.
That would be on like the low end of the spectrum. This is more mid tier because they're getting more people involved, but I'm afraid always that things are blown out of proportion. So I'm not going to classify it as like high tier yet, but we are starting to see some escalation. There's some destruction and some stuff that goes on. Seems to be pretty common in today's society, which is insane to say, but it does seem to be pretty common most of the time now. And then on top of that, having like National Guard deployed and stuff, that normally means it's a little bit more serious than if it was just like LAPD. Even LAPD in SWAT gear is technically not out of the realm if there's, I would say, the amount of people you're seeing. Then, like, let's say the same amount, but then nothing crazy happening, you could probably still see SWAT on standby just for the sheer number. So that wouldn't be out of the realm. But with the National Guard being there and stuff, it's more mid tier. Now, if it does escalate and they do what Pete Hegseth said, and they deploy active duty Marines, all right, now it's a problem. It's high level.
So as of today,
yeah,
according to ChatGPT, I will make that very clear, And I believe it was pulling information from CNN, Fox News, and I believe it was ABC.
Okay.
President Donald Trump has deployed roughly 2,000 to 4,000 National Guard members and 700 active duty Marines today under Title 10. Under Title 10. I don't exactly know what Title 10 is.
Yeah.
But as of now, it looks like they're going through with that.
So when they start deploying guys and girls who are, in my opinion, like active duty Marines, they have like a one job. As far as what I know about these people now, I don't know what their orders are. I don't know what they're being told to do. But most of the time, they're only there for business. And when
Correct.
I say business, their business is getting whatever their job is done. So if their job is to clean up the streets, they're going to do that to the most serious standard, whatever that is.
Right.
Which all of that is designated by whoever is given the order. So if Donald Trump enacts them, but then the general for those people or whatever tells them what to do, that's where the orders are coming from.
So Dave Smith made a very, very good point about this whole instance.
Yeah.
Because with you, I was kind of in the same realm that I was thinking this is maybe a medium issue that's
Right.
kind of going on right now. I think it now is getting into that range that's a pretty high issue because this has been the first time, I'm trying to think when the last one was, maybe it was Reagan, that we have deployed not only National Guard but Marines on American soil against, quote unquote, the American people, even though these are people that is...
Well, not all. Some of them are American people.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
There's a mixture.
These are people that are trying to make it loud that some of these illegal immigrants do not need to be taken because they've been here for so long and they've worked here for so long. Like I said, this is a very emotional thing, guys, because imagine you knowing somebody that's been here for 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you work with a guy.
Yeah, and they're illegal. And, I mean, you can go down that rabbit hole as far as you went, and we may touch on it here just a little bit because I often have a very interesting question for the people that is doing the protesting. So anyway, going back to it, this will probably be something that is written in a history book at this time because we now have two different military forces that is now getting
I would wait and see how long
issued.
it takes.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, on how big it builds, but I think it will probably be in there. I mean, everybody in the National Guard and the Marines will, from now on, remember that one time. I was like, you remember when we sent some Marines to Los Angeles? Like, to guard a federal building and to, like, clean the streets up? Essentially, is kind of what it's saying. So that's a very interesting point right there. Something else I think that we should definitely point out is Trump ran on cleaning up immigration. So anybody out there that did not expect this to happen probably needed to look into it a little bit more. That, I mean, we go back to that one guy that's been here for 20 years. Yeah, I made friends with that guy. In the end, though, everybody needs to understand two different things. One, no matter what it is, you're breaking the law. That is a law in the United States, and you broke said law.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're a terrible person.
No.
If somebody comes in my house and I blast them, I mean, it's against the law to shoot somebody. Now, in self-defense, kind of that's my way to out of the destruction of being in the court system.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you killed someone.
Yeah.
So you have to. The one thing that I do think everybody needs to remember, and this will go really, really good with number 2, is if you do something like that, you have to be prepared for the consequences because they will happen one day. Just like as Christians, everything that we do bad one day is going to have to come face to face with the big guy, and you're going to have to sit there and say, yes, I did do that, and I'm not happy about it, but I did do that.
Right.
And you have to be ready to meet those repercussions.
Yeah.
Same scenario when a dude comes in my house.
Yeah.
I can hit him with a baseball bat or I could shoot him with a gun.
Yeah.
I said one has a little bit more consequences than the other ones.
Yeah.
You just have to sit there and understand there's consequences attached to this.
Both of them depend on how the situation turns out.
For sure. Number two, the other one that I want everyone to think of, I don't care if you're a police officer there, a regular person that cares, one person that doesn't, one person, whatever. These, not only National Guard people, not only the Marines, but the police that's there, the regular police officers, they're just doing their job.
Yeah.
That their job is to protect the American people as much as possible, but also enforce the law. Like, that's their job.
Right.
So you don't think they hate you,
right,
because that's not the case. There's a bunch of those ICE guys that's out there that's like, man, this sucks to do this, but it needs to happen.
I would assume that they probably believe in their job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And everybody should.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the place we work, we believe in it.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to understand that. Like I said, very emotional topic, but every one of us is just going through something a little bit different. Comes back to the same thing we always say at the very end of the day: sit back and try to be the good guy. And sometimes the good guy's got to do hard things. Never said it was going to be easy. Heck, it's probably even harder now that I think about it. So, yeah, but as of now, I believe we are on day 4 of the protest.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing recently on my feed that we're now starting to see a little bit of this stuff kind of spread. We're seeing some stuff kind of happen in Dallas, Texas right now. A friend of ours actually was telling me yesterday about Little Rock now. So one part of Little Rock, and I'll actually probably get to see it Thursday, and I will literally let you know next podcast of what it's like.
Right.
Is there's now signs getting hung up everywhere that says no ICE, immigrants in America, and all this stuff. And apparently there is supposed to be a protest go on in Little Rock on the 14th.
Okay.
So we're kind of starting to see it spread around.
That might be a
bit.
good PSA for the people, just as far as like being prepared goes.
Yeah, for sure.
You may want to like know where that protest is
sure.
for the 14th. If you're going to be in Little Rock, Arkansas, might want to watch out.
Yeah,
just in case.
And it might be one of those things like the Area 51 thing where everybody was supposed to raid it,
and nobody showed up.
Exactly. But John is very correct.
Yeah, just in case.
So,
and I hope it's good. I hope it's a good protest. I hope they go out there and they talk about their message, freedom of speech. God bless you.
I'm with you. Just be civil about it.
Yeah.
Don't block any public roads. Don't destroy anything.
Yeah. Don't act a fool. Please.
Don't light cars on fire. So another one of the topics I wanted us to discuss in this same realm is very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So as you guys got to listen so far, we've got to see John's perspective in a feed that doesn't really have a whole lot of this stuff going on.
Yeah.
You got to see my perspective, which has a lot of this stuff kind of going on. I want to show you guys, or actually more or less read you guys a quote from a main media source about this. As of now, if anybody's really seen anything in it a lot, there is vandalism, arson going on. I don't believe anybody's been hurt, or more or less, people has been hurt. We've been seeing people get tackled.
There's not been any fatalities.
There's been no fatalities.
Yeah.
Better word. This is a quote from ABC News. This is crazy.
Okay.
And I quote, "With a large group of people, it could turn very violent if you move law enforcement in. Okay, let me say it again. My bad. With a large group of people, it could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in the wrong way and turn what is a bunch of people having fun burning cars into a massive confrontation." What do you hear? What are you thinking when you hear that statement? and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation?
Well,
makes you wonder why nobody trusts the news anymore.
part of it is like, where's that going on at? Because like, the fire department's gonna have to clean that up,
Mm-hmm.
which cost people. Like, we pay for that.
For sure.
That's a public service, unless it's privately owned. But
Heck,
So-
the people
so-
burning, some people that's burning the cars down are paying for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's part of it. Like there's a big waste there, as well as all of the
No. What do you think about the statement?
just and,
Okay.
and so like knowing the repercussions and all, like of what happens from these events, to come out and just be like that it's chill. They're saying it's chill.
They're saying it's chill, brother.
That's tough. It's not Burning Man. You know what Burning Man is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
this isn't a Burning Man.
No.
They're not in the middle of the desert.
No.
Okay, this is in a metropolitan area.
Yes. On public
So-
roads and
You
public
know.
vehicles. Or actually, I guess it'd be private owned.
That's pretty. Well, it's public vehicles too.
Yeah.
But
'Cause I
that's
believe they burnt down some.
because like police cars and stuff.
And then there's a brand of electric taxi cars that drives around. They burnt like 4 of those.
Well, and buses. There's a lot of buses out in that area.
Yep.
But it's crazy to say that it's just having fun.
Yeah.
Like, you can find somewhere else to have fun that's not going to affect.
Why would you say it like that? Is it trying to push an agenda that it's not as bad as it is?
Yeah.
Or is it on some level, I guess they're both the same thing, of trying to manipulate you?
I think
That
it's
this
trying to
is
say
no
that it's
big deal.
I think it's trying to say that it's not that bad, and they're trying to they're trying to say that if the police do anything in a certain manner, then which is their job,
Mm-hmm.
to like go like stop people from like destroying
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's in a metropolitan area, as well as then secure the area for police firefighters to do their part, which with putting out the fire and clean up. It's almost saying like if they come in to shut it down with any level of force, that it'll get out of hand, which technically I'm not against.
I do believe there is a level that it
Like, why do we have SWAT teams if we're not using them? I hate to be that guy all the time.
The SWAT teams are there though, bro.
I know.
Yeah.
But my point is like, if you're going to be like, oh, we need to be careful while we do it, dude, send SWAT in, clean that stuff up. It'll take, 30 minutes to an hour to let SWAT.
You're talking about another instance.
No, I'm talking about like that. Like,
But there's SWAT teams already there.
I know, but my point is like, if you're saying that like, just be cool, it's no big deal, let the police just kind of show up and they'll treat it like a routine traffic stop.
Okay.
And everything will be okay. Or you can send SWAT in and it'll escalate, is what they're saying.
Gotcha.
Whereas I'm like, if we have SWAT, they're already there, they're ready to do their job, just let them do their job.
Yeah.
And then like everything can go back to normal.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like that's my point to it. So like by sugarcoating it, it's like they have a side.
For sure. That's what I was wanting to see if I could.
That's what I was
say.
Well, I was trying to find the right words and I couldn't find them. That's what I was trying to get to. Yeah, there you go.
They have a side of not. Oh, so Gavin Newsom,
Yeah.
the man, the myth, the legend, the slickster, dude's crazy. He is currently arguing with Donald Trump right now about sending troops to California, and I can't remember if it's Donald Trump is trying to sue Gavin Newsom or Gavin Newsom is trying to sue Donald Trump for like inhumane behavior because we're now sending these people here. So what is Gavin Newsom's plan? That is a very good question. What is his plan? Because his plan was already in act to a certain degree. We had regular police officers there, state troopers, SWAT team. Everybody that was Los Angeles was there.
Yeah.
Like as much as you could send to this spot. And it wasn't working. So what's the next plan?
Well, I think his plan is to just ride. He's willing to ride that part of it out while all the raids and stuff are going on. Like, he's just willing to let it burn and ride it out.
He's willing to let California burn.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why? Why would a man want to do that to his own people? Because I'm with you.
Because I think the people who he's siding with are willing to burn it. So, like, if you're willing to let it burn,
Right.
then the people who you're aligned with are the ones doing the burning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
Because if the people because on the opposite spectrum, if you're aligned with ICE and what Trump has got enacted, then you would be on the side of the people who are doing their job and whatnot. Which is that's part of the difference. I mean, like, that's their job,
right.
Versus
The hardest thing about this whole deal to me is, we've talked about this a ton at this point. I would love to be there because I would be like trying to interview all these people. Now I don't know how much they would like to talk versus just throw stones at cop cars.
Yeah.
But a couple things I'd like to know. For one, what in their mind is this protest? What are they protesting for?
So
what is the end goal? Because if their end goal is for ICE not to take back illegal immigrants, that's not going to happen. Like that won't happen.
Yeah.
It's just not going to. So let's try to look for some sort of solution here.
Yeah.
Because my next question would be, well, why don't you believe we have the ability to send back people that came here illegally? And I heard one person say, interesting comment, but said, well, the United States took California from Mexico.
Okay.
So, interesting statement saying that they were here before it was California, which is, if I remember correctly, Mexico sold California to us in like the 1800s. I think it was like 1838, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Take a couple years. So nobody's alive that was back that far, so you can't pull that move here. So anyway, but let's even dig a little bit deeper into the question. Would you rather, and I'm asking this to people that's protesting. I don't know if anybody's watching that, and I'm asking, would you rather Mexico buy California back and you just live under Mexico laws, but in California? Still get the paradise, weather, and all that junk. But now you're living in Mexico again. Would you rather that happen? I would love to hear their yes or no's on that.
All right. Now, here's the opposite side of that.
Go.
Here's a rebuttal question.
Hit
what
me.
I would like to hear is,
Yep.
I would like to hear somebody who is illegal, and I would like to ask them, what would you rather have happen? Would you rather risk it for the biscuit? Okay. Live here, work here, and try to sneak by under the radar. Or would you rather continue to live here and we don't look for you no more because we let Mexico buy back California? I'd like to hear their view on that. I'm willing to bet you money
Nobody wants to go back to Mexico.
that they're like, I would rather, I don't know. I think they would be like, I would rather try to escape back to the U.S. Like, if Mexico buys this,
That's what I'm saying.
I'm willing to bet
Nobody would want to live in California.
that, like, what are all the states that border right there? California's freaking long.
Borders what?
California. What is it?
That borders California?
Yeah.
Nevada.
Nevada, and then what's above it? It's the one, Utah.
Utah.
And then, Idaho.
Yeah, and then Washington.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So imagine
Yeah.
We let them buy back California.
Yeah. Are you going to stay there?
And then they're going to be like, you know what? We are fleeing. And now here's the real question. Now do we have double the amount of immigrants because all the people who was living in America that didn't want to, they were like, yeah, let Mexico buy it. Okay? Hypothetically. If they say, let Mexico buy it, and then they don't like it, and they try to flee to Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Washington, or is it Oregon?
I don't know. Just go with it.
I sound so dumb. Sorry for all my geography people out there. It's been a while for me, but like I'm willing to bet that they would continue to flee
into America.
Deeper in. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that contradicts your whole thing.
Yeah.
And I will say this because I'm empathetic for the people that escape to get here because I get it. And I don't get it on even your level. I've never been to Mexico. I've no idea. But I've heard stuff enough to know that United States is better.
Yeah.
So I get why you would want to come here, which is why I do wish to a certain degree that Trump or whoever it is could work out something that would give a little bit more benefit to the ones that has been here for a long time and does not have anything bad. If you've been here for 20 years, even illegally, but you've worked and you've provided and you've had kids and we have a way to justify that you are
contributing,
I do wish Trump would put together some plan where it's like, hey, this is a crime to what you did, but here's how you could pay it off. Like, and I don't even mean cash. I mean, like, even if it's just give them like community service work. Like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
No problem whatsoever. Like, all the ones that's illegal right now that's here but good people, when these riots get done, Trump ought to just be like, hey, I'm sorry this way the way it went the way that it went. I know this is a very emotional topic for a lot of people, but to make our country better, we do have to get the bad illegals out. The good illegals, let's try to work with you guys to try to find a way to get you to stay here. Because if we can provide these ways, you know what you can do? The first thing you can do is clean up Los Angeles. Literally. Go to the federal building, help them paint the walls again because they effed all that up. Help them put a new mural of Kobe Bryant on there because they effed that up. They've been tearing up all kind of stuff. I do wish Trump would look into something of that nature because we love America. We will fly red, white, and blue to the end of the day. Yeah. And I do believe there's illegal people here now that also see the same benefit.
Oh, definitely.
And if there's a way to figure out if you have been contributing, then I think there needs to be a way that you can, and I have no problem with this, hop to the top of the line. I have no problem with that because I want good people here.
Right, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I'll also even argue, it's a point that I argued, I can't remember if we argued about it a few episodes ago. It may have been like 10 episodes ago, actually, or if it's just something we talked about personally. But there's a lot of jobs locally, I know. Like I can remember, was I 16? I think I was 16. Just started driving. And a friend of my mom's used to have a big farm. Big. Full-scale production. As far as growing crop here in the state. And they had berry production, okay? Well, there's still some of that kind of work done today by hand. And there would be these immigrants who would come in on visas for the summer. And they would pick these berries and stuff. Because I remember I was out of school. I was on summer break. Because they offered me a job because at the time, I don't remember who the president was, but it was so restricted on people like getting visas and getting through that they were having trouble finding people who would come and pick them. Okay, well, there's only a certain amount of time that fruit can stay on the vine before they're losing money as a business. Okay, and these people are willing to do that job without question.
Was
They come here on a truck. Hear me out. On a visa.
Mm-hmm. No, I know what you mean.
They work. They make the money.
They go home.
They go home.
Yeah, no, I understand.
For the season.
They
stay where it's warm, pretty much, is what they do. They come up here during the summer, they work, they go back.
I would be very interested to know if that time that you're talking about was when Obama was in office, because
I think it was Obama.
If a lot of people don't know, Obama to this day holds the record for the most people we've sent back off immigration.
Yeah.
Like by a long shot.
I'm pretty sure it was Obama, but I don't remember. There was something very specific he had done. There was like a bill or something he had put in that had like shut down giving visas out. Because
I was way too young to get into politics at that time. But
I just remember because they offered me a job.
I do know that
they were
Obama
like, "Yo,
big
we are hurting.
Yeah,
we have fruit that's gonna rot. Like we're gonna lose big money."
Yeah.
And obviously, I feel for him as a friend, as people But then, on another level, then it was like, I'm looking at these other cats. I'm like, that's crazy. These are people who don't even want to live here technically. They just can make enough money here during the summer,
right,
to help cover the rest of the year doing whatever they're doing wherever else in the world.
Yeah,
that's how much more the dollar was worth.
Yeah, and you know what that goes to show?
What?
We want good, hard-working people.
Heck yeah, we do. That's a hard job. I'm telling you right now,
sure.
Working all day in the sun, picking strawberries.
For sure.
God bless you.
So
anybody out there doing
there's
that
no
hard labor,
shot that Trump ever sees this, but Sarah Huckabee might. And she's friends with Trump. I'm with the start of the plan.
Yeah.
Find every person that has a criminal record and get them out of here. They don't need to be here. After that, though, when we got the number to good, down, and low, let's take a look at these people that's been here for a long time. And they have tried to work hard, and they have tried to provide. And they got here because they were scared. I understand that. And let's find a way to help them get established here, because that's what they want at the end of the day.
I wonder, do you think there's any of them out there who have wanted to get their citizenship but are too worried to try? Like they're too afraid?
I'm sure.
Because
you have to admit that you're illegal to start.
Because if you're willing to go through the process, that's not a bad idea.
Not at all.
Let's say if you got rid of all the criminals first, and now you want to come up with a plan to let the people who have been here long term start a family even. And they're working hard, man. And they want to do everything like me and you, as far as like, federal, state stuff that you have to deal with, going and getting your car, tags, evaluated, whatever, depending on what state you're in. They want that. They want all of it. But they're afraid. Or let's say they may have tried, and then like they almost got busted or something, so they went back on the run.
Yeah.
But if there's a list of people out there who've tried, but then like they tried to capture them, obviously, for obvious reasons, but then they ran away again, I wouldn't be so against letting them
work off the crime.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And work towards citizenship.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, let's say you help out your local community, which is, I think, a very American thing.
Yeah.
Helping your fellow people, fellow man, woman in America. That would be a good way to try to like help build back that relationship,
right? For
a lack of better terminology. But on top of that, let them go to a class and take those tests to become a citizen.
I definitely think that Trump or whoever should put out a statement that says something like that, and I hope they would have thought of something for that, because if they haven't, then starts dipping into the conspiracy side. So, we're called Skeptics Podcast for a reason. We're skeptic about everything. And I've been hearing some interesting takes on these riots.
Okay.
So, and I actually have some actual personal information, I guess, that I could actually, that I'm going to tell. I would think it's called personal information. So anyway, recently, there has been caught on camera a good amount of times. Unexpected things that you would see during a said protest or a said riot. One of them being this. Unmarked vans driving around in the protest, handing out body armor and spray cans, flags, and all this other stuff. The flags and all that's I'm like, okay, got it. But body armor? That's kind of strange, just to be me and you protesting and some dude just pulls up in a black unmarked van and hands us body armor and keeps going. Like,
not necessarily.
I personally think so.
Because I could come up with a scenario where that would make more sense.
So anyway, another thing that has been well put out there has been ads that has been ran on Marketplace.
Yeah.
Craigslist, I also believe. I believe I saw some Instagram post about it of some people saying, hey, this is a way that you can create more aggression, more or less. So one of the posts that I got to read, I believe it was on Facebook Marketplace, they were selling pickaxes. And what these pickaxes in the description was for, and this is just in Los Angeles, mind you, is for, it would say something around the nature of, these are great at dismantling buildings, this and that, and all this weird stuff that I don't think you would put in a post of that nature.
Right.
And I've been reading about, remember when we had the riots that was kind of going on during, I don't know if it was the George Floyd thing or if it was the COVID or whatever, when Kyle Rittenhouse was walking around.
Yeah.
Of finding random pallets laying around of bricks that was getting delivered to different neighborhoods that people were taking bricks off of and throwing them and stuff. So there's a theory out there right now that this has been started for a purpose. This has been started to create an uproar about something. Now, you could speculate as much as you want on that for whatever reason. Are you speculating to try to get eyeballs here when something else is happening over here? Mm-hmm. But the big one that's kind of going around right now is in Trump's big, beautiful bill, there is a section in this bill that is discussing essentially increasing our intelligence software. Mm-hmm. So what this is from a company called, I believe it's called, and I may pronounce this wrong, Palatine. I believe it is. And what it is an AI company that is a bigger, better version of the same system that we implemented after 9/11. So being able to get people's information, being able to get their photos, their IDs, their social security numbers, all these different things. And the conspiracy that is right now, this was all started so Trump could push this bill more on saying that we need this level of security, meaning that they can get into your stuff kind of unsolicited very quickly. Every phone will always have to be linked to the internet. I mean, most of them are now. They all have cell phone service and everything. So, what's your thoughts going on right now? If that is a thing, or for one, let me just ask you this: are you cool with giving the government more ability to be able to get into everyone's stuff easier for the quote-unquote sake of finding criminals faster?
I know that the current capabilities, if they want to, are already there. As far as infrastructure,
right?
As far as people, capability. Mm-hmm. Now, what it sounds like is this will give them the ability to do it faster. my concern with it being like an AI-based thing is it learns patterns, right?
Very quickly.
So if it learned a false pattern, and so it's able to falsely accuse potentially, that could be a problem. I don't know how it works.
Neither do I.
I can't speak to that. But it's a concern.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as them getting information, if they want it bad enough, they'll get it. Most people,
for sure.
Most people aren't. They don't warrant the federal government's time. Most people, for the most part, most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how and what this is, how it passes, and how they're going to apply it, is a different beast. Because if it passes and they're like, you know what, we are going to implement it, but then the way that they implement it is like, you know, somebody sits down in a computer and they tell the system what they're looking for, and they use it however. I'm assuming with AI, I assume you communicate with it to a certain degree, unless it's not that style, unless it's not an input AI, unless it has certain requirements that it's looking for already. And it's learning and it's doing this stuff in the background. I don't know what that looks like.
Are you okay with a company that gets labeled with the federal government that will increase the speed of that? For the sake of finding criminals.
It's tough because
it is tough. I'm with you.
Because as far as your average person's privacy, no, I don't want more ease of access.
Which it will give.
But the trouble with that is who is to stop them currently?
Right, for sure. No, I agree.
So even if I was to say no, they can already say yes behind closed doors.
Right. And this, what's ironic is this company was already started as like a founder from the CIA. So the CIA started the company.
Oh, then they already have
essentially,
access.
And then the company turned to a different, more AI-based thing that's not supposed to be attached to the government, but now they're trying to attach it back to the government. Which is like what Dave Smith says. Once you're part of the government, you're always part of the government.
So that was about to be my point, is they never left.
So what's interesting...
They just aren't, like, bound by a document.
Right. So what's interesting is there is if y'all have not got to see the movie The Accountant 2, it's a great movie. And really funny. Ben Affleck plays the character so awkwardly but so perfectly, it's hilarious. And I'm one of the guys that wish he was Batman still. There's a part in this movie to where I think we get to see it's ironic how much as this is happening and this movie came out at the same time. And I don't think they're anywhere linked whatsoever. I think it just
is what it is.
It just is what it is. There's a part in this movie to where they are needing to find a girl's face. And she's walking down the sidewalk, and this girl's a trained killer and everything, so she knows about cameras and everything. So her head's down like this the whole time. And Ben Affleck calls his people, which are a bunch of super geniuses, with this software that is just for them. Like they created this software because they're super geniuses.
Right.
And they're needing to get this girl's face. Well, they pull up from his traffic camera. There's another girl in the background that takes a selfie that probably has her in the back of it. So they go through all this whole span, and I might show you just the part of the movie before you leave. That's in the movie world, it's probably a minute. I mean, from where I'm watching it. But these, and they're kids too, that's geniuses essentially. They go from taking this surveillance camera, finding this girl's face, finding this girl's IP number, logging into her computer, going to her documents, finding this selfie, just so they can analyze this girl's picture. and there's about midway through all this happening because they're invading a individual's privacy at this point. They're logging in on her computer while she's walking around. They're looking at her through the webcam and everything, and they're going through her pictures to find this girl's picture.
Yeah.
And there's a part about midway through where the cop's like, we can't be doing this. And when she said that, there was a part of me that was like, yeah, what are these people doing? Like, I understand it's for a good cause. In an ideal world, you hope all the people that control this is for the good cause. But I'm like, they're going in this girl's house right now and going through all of her stuff on her devices to find a person that has no link to her whatsoever. And if you don't close all those doors, one could still be left open. Like, you still have that IP address or whatever the heck it is. But there was a part of me that was like, this is not right. I was like, they're going through all this person's stuff. And imagine if it's happening right now and they're going through all my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you on the same boat. I don't really wish we had anything that would progress it. I actually wish we would have it that would bring it down even a little bit more. And I know that sounds crazy because these conspiracy theorists on this part, which never know, might slightly be with them. The whole point of these riots is so Trump could make the case that if we had this software, we would have been able to find these criminals before this ever happened. So the protests would have been stopped because all these people that would have incited the protest would have been found. But in reality, they wouldn't have been because the government is partially what started the protest just so Trump could think this.
Yeah.
And that's a big brain thought.
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna crash 2 planes in the Twin Towers just so we can go to Iraq to get oil. But we're gonna be part of it. But we're not gonna tell anybody we're part of it. If true, that's a very long-term plan to get what you want, making somebody else the bad guy when you were partially part of the bad guys. So that's all I'm saying is that with the conspiracy that's involved around the L.A. riots and everything versus it's look this direction while something else is happening this direction, which it could be that too. I don't know how often many people read through the big bill thing, and I'm slowly reading through it because I'm really trying to take in what is a lot happening. And as somebody that voted for Trump, there are some things in it that I don't think should happen. I don't think we should continue to fund even more money into the Defense Department at this point. And I'm not really down with increasing the budget for our deficit. I'm not really down for any of that. J.D. Vance says if we don't do that, we'll have higher taxes at the end of the year. Well, if you could promise me those taxes were going to the deficit, I wouldn't have a problem paying them. But you can't promise me that because they're probably going to funding the Los Angeles riot. So that's a tough one out there, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. I'll definitely say. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below because this is an interesting topic going on right now, and I want to see what other people's thinking. Is it happening in anybody else's town? And what happens when it really starts to spread? Because I wish somebody empathetic would come on and talk about it. Like, really. And I partly wish it was Trump, but normally he's not that good at being, like, empathetic just because he's like, this is the plan, this is what I think the outcome is, and this is what we're going to do. And I often wonder, how good is this going to make the Republicans look in 3 years if stuff like this continues? Like, are we going to still have a lot of people that's like, is this making the Republicans stronger or the Democrats stronger? And I actually personally think it's making them both smaller because I don't think any Democrats – this is not turning any Republican back to a Democrat. I don't think it's like I said, it's a pretty serious thing that we kind of got going on at this point.
Yeah.
But I don't see many people going from a Republican to a Democrat. Maybe you got a little bit of independents going from independent to Democrat because they're like, I don't want to send back good, hardworking people, even if they're illegal. But as somebody that voted for Trump, I definitely think there should be an incentive to try to keep the good people here. And maybe there is that I don't know about. I'll go out there and caveat and say that. I don't think there is. I chat GPT'd and tried to figure out if there was, and it didn't say anything about there being anything like that. So I have a weird suspicion that if stuff like this continues, because like I said, as somebody that voted for Trump, I am not really impressed with what he's done so far.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple things on the Epstein files, all that, even though me and you both agree none of that's ever going to come out.
Yeah.
I was hopeful that it was, but I at this point, I don't think it will. So I think we're going to see the next 3 years, I think we're going to see a lot of people kind of go back to independent. Like we're going to see not so much because last year, when the last election, we got to see a bunch of people jump from independent Democrat to Republican.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tulsi Gabbard and big names. Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, even though he's probably not really there anymore. He's probably more on the libertarian side now. And there was an RFK Jr.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see a bunch of those people. I don't necessarily think this is the next couple of years is going to be going from Republican to Democrat, but more or less Republican and Democrat back to the independent side. And if there was a party that was like libertarian, that might be a party still. I really don't know. If they could find a really, really good candidate in the next 3 years, I would beg it would be a little bit more interesting than it is now. It's going to be hard to get out of a two-party system, but
I'm curious on that, and I'm curious how many regular people will change their mind.
Right.
And how many of them are willing to go from the two traditionals to one of these more new age ideology type of sides.
Well, I'll tell you where my mind is. Every day I try to listen to two of the big parties. Mm-hmm. Somebody that's really dominant on the Republican side, somebody really dominant on the Democrat side. I've started listening to people that's kind of dominant on the libertarian side of things. And as somebody statistically in 2016 was Donald Trump last run, 2016.
I think so.
Was probably the best president of my lifetime, but I think she could still do a lot of better. If this second chance right here doesn't do a lot of better, I will have some very different thoughts at the end of these 3 years, because I thought if there was anybody that could do it, it'd be him, because he's kind of the most like, F what you're feeling, I'm going to do my thing because I think it's going to be better for the United States. And some of the things he stood by has not happened yet. So that just kind of gives me a little bad taste in the mouth. And I knew the first day I get in this, obviously that's not going to happen. Obviously. But there's other things that I think that it is. And I still think he's doing some right things, but I'm not impressed so far, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't carry on the next 3 years, the chance of me becoming a Democrat is slim to none. If they keep their same values and everything like that, slim to none.
I'm about to say, what if these people change what it means, though?
Well, I think they actually already have. I think a Democrat back then, shout out our boy Larry P.
Yeah.
He talked with us one time. Democrats back then were not really the Democrats of now.
Yeah.
Back then, I think Republicans were more of the, I want to go to war, and the Democrats were like, I don't want to go to war.
Yeah.
And then we kind of seen a shift in that recently. So unless there's another big shift, it's going to be an interesting 3 years. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
That's it. See. Well, John Boy, you got anything you want to leave the peeps with?
You hit me with a lot there towards the middle of the end.
Yep.
Let me cover one.
I'm about to say, you can go on as long as you want, brother. We got time.
Well, I got one point I want to cover real quick as far as the conspiracy goes, just because it's still on my mind. So I think it'd be worth covering if it's something that stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about the vans showing up and handing out equipment. And that's what we're going to call it. If I was in charge of causing trouble, okay, whether it's rioting or whether it is we're going to take a protest to the next level, or if it was some kind of overthrow, or if it was some kind of coup, or anything that's going to go against the grain in any way. If you had a plan for logistics so that you could have the people already there, and now all I got to get is equipment into the right hands of the people there, my guys who are there. So like if you have a crowd of people and you got 100 guys mixed in, 1,000 people, okay, I control 10% then of the crowd. So if I can show up with a van here, here, and here, and my people know that, and we're going to cause trouble, well, now if you can make them stronger or more impenetrable, you can give them armor or bricks or whatever, and while you're doing that, also hand out more, for lack of better terms, propaganda, whatever your propaganda is, pushing your narrative, then that's how you would be successful. Like if there's somebody out there who genuinely believes in the ICE situation, and they've gotten together with a bunch of people and they're like, we're going to do something about this.
Right.
I could actually see somebody like orchestrating that.
No, I'm with you. I actually think of that.
And on the civilian side.
No, yeah, no, I agree. Somebody equipped these civilians with this stuff.
Right, no, but I'm saying like as a civilian who wanted to make a change, just like in all the movies. Like they got the leader, who's underground. Nobody knows. They've never seen him.
Yeah. No, who's the leader though?
Oh, well, we don't know that yet.
I don't think the leader's a civilian.
Here's my point though. It could be. So you always got to be careful.
I don't know.
To play the government's out to get me game.
Well, who's putting the logistics together is my question.
Hell, it could be Newsom.
That's the government.
No.
Newsom's part of the government. Still somebody that's on a high end, though. Not just an everyday civilian.
Right, but he worked for the state.
Yeah. But still, though. I mean,
he's not at the federal level.
I don't know if they're considered federal level. I mean, Sarah Huckabee just hung out with Trump today.
I mean, to maybe to a certain degree, they do have things that they answer to, but they run the state.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I would hold that higher than just an everyday citizen.
But it also could just be a private individual. It could be somebody who makes a lot of money,
right?
Who lives nearby,
right?
Who can afford to pay for. They're not willing to do it themselves, but they're willing to pay.
Well, they're a puss
to have minions.
Right. But what
supplied.
What other reason would you do that except for a bad one? Because you're
maybe they enjoy it. I'm not saying that it's good.
Right.
But maybe you're a bad person and you like to see riots.
Yeah, no, I think that.
Hell,
I think that.
Here's a hot take. I'm holding the mic if you're listening. I'm getting into it a little bit. Here's the hot take. I think I seen this on Andrew Schultz's podcast where they was holding the mic the other day. Either way, they imagine I am a multimillionaire.
Okay.
I make in the hundreds of millions a year. Okay. And I own a construction business.
Okay.
And I'm currently competing for the local downtown LA contract to redo something. I don't know. Some federal, state buildings, whatever, in the local area, as well as just general contracting. People who want to build a new building or they want to remodel, they come to me. And I've got competition. Okay. Now, let's say I pay to make sure these people destroy more stuff so that I have more work. I can make an extra $100 million if they destroy this stuff.
Right.
And let's say it costs me $100,000 in equipment. and I buy a van, and I send some guys down there that I paid cash to go hand this stuff out to make sure we get double the amount of destruction so that I can make more money.
Yeah.
It's not too far out there as far as conspiracies go.
No, I'm with you.
So as far as the civilian side, those are some reasons you could think of, conspiracy-based reasons.
So what would be the goal of a civilian of just damaging police cars?
Well,
and physically hurting people.
maybe. So back in the day, when the mob was rampant
Okay.
up in the northeast part of the country, they would, pay off cops or this or that, as well as people. Well, maybe you're somebody who's been having trouble with the cops, and it would benefit you to destroy more of their resources. That's the right word, resources. If you disable more of their vehicles, you have.
But they're just gonna get new ones.
You have less cops on the streets. Yeah, eventually, but that cost. That's expensive.
Yeah, but they're also
Takes time.
But they're also now more active because it's now a hot area.
Right, but now let's say you can take out more in a shorter period of time than it will take for them to get new after it cools off.
I still think they're fighting an uphill battle though because the area just gets more intense.
Yeah, but now
The more
now let's say it's criminals, just like in the northeast part back in the day. Let's say it's gangs
Okay, what are you saying though?
or people from the cartel. Let's say it's that.
Right.
Okay.
That area just gets more hot.
That doesn't matter to them. They can afford for it to be hot. They'll continue to send people.
Not true though, because eventually it stops if it gets too hot.
Yeah, but they're willing to ride that line because they have everything to lose.
But they don't have everything to lose. They have product to lose.
Right.
Have you watched Landman?
But their own people are on the line.
You watched Landman?
No. Just a couple episodes.
Oh, I thought you told me you watched it.
Not the whole thing.
There's a scene on it where they're running an oil well and it's on the cartel's land.
Yeah.
And the cartel's like, you can't be doing this. And then they came and they like blew up an oil well, I think it is, or something like that. Well, old Landman got to deal with the National Guard to where the National Guard guards that area now. And you know what happens now? Cartel don't run no stuff through that spot no more because the National Guard's there. And we got National Guard there now.
Right.
I think if it is something to that level, I don't think it's just a individual multimillionaire sitting back and doing this.
Think about this though. Imagine if the cartel says, "Perfect, we can let our own people die. They don't care."
But no, what if it's more? What if it's more or less like we have to get because what would be?
Hear me out.
I'm trying.
If they are keeping them busy over there, and then over here, let's say in like the Arizona area, New Mexico has had a terrible track record as far as cartel go.
Yeah, for sure. There's way less people.
And now it's even easier for them to do their job over here in New Mexico. Because guess what? All of the border agents and the National Guard and the police, they're all focused, and the media, they're looking over here, similar to what you're saying about the government. But now they're doing it because they're just sending people saying, "Hey, go destroy this stuff. We don't care if it gets destroyed." And really, the top dogs, they don't even care if their people die. Not in that business.
Right.
And so they're to them, they're like, okay, big deal. Now let's do more business over here.
So is that what you think?
No, I'm just throwing out ideas.
Oh, okay.
This is just stuff I'm coming up with.
Gotcha.
Because you said that, and I had a bunch of ideas run through my head.
Gotcha.
So I was like, as far as conspiracies go, I don't normally dig into conspiracies, but I had a few ideas come to mind, so I thought I would tell them.
Gotcha. All right. Well.
And that's all I got.
All right, guys. Well, good podcast. I hope everybody stays safe out there in the old L.A. This is now Battle Los Angeles, except without aliens. It's actually aliens. Now I think about it.
Illegal ones.
It's illegal aliens, yeah. So anyway, everybody be safe. We have empathy for everybody but pedophiles. So have a good one, guys.
Have a good one.
Later,
like,
dudes.
comment, and subscribe.
Yep.
Later.
Yep. Comment something about anything about this podcast, I will get in there and talk with you till the end of the day. Later, guys.